February 21st, 2015, Marilyn's home, Marilyn channeling. Oh, come on. Good afternoon, Martha.
I'm so glad to be here in this lovely sunny day. And it's so nice to have you people here visiting and with us today. And welcome back, Sue.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. It's good to see you. And Noelle, we're glad you're here today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
And Mac, thanks for coming and helping getting ready.
My pleasure.
Well, we're just thrilled everybody's working here and helping out, and that's what it's all about. So I'm just going to have John come in. I hope you brought your questions. So we'll talk to you in a little bit. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.
Hello.
Good afternoon. I am John the Divine.
Good afternoon,
Good
John.
afternoon, John.
And I am so glad to be here with you people today. I know that there is so much energy shifting and rearranging, so many things altering in your experiences, and life is changing in very fast and quick ways at this point, so it seems rather topsy-turvy to some of you, it may be. And so if you have questions this afternoon, I will do my best to answer them and hope to help you understand there is nothing to fear. We are going through some very rapid changes of energy at this point, and if you have questions about where you are in that process or about how it works out, I would do my best to help you understand or to give you some kind of answer to help in knowing how that fits in with what's happening to you. So if you have a question, feel free to speak up.
Well, I have one.
Well, thank you.
My question is I think I'm on a pretty good path now. I feel very comfortable with the direction I'm going, but I'm still hanging on to grief in my past. Grief over the way I handled personally the death of my mom, for one thing, and the pets in my life. I don't think I handled their last days very well. I don't think I took care of them very well. So that is what I'm hanging on for this stage in my life right now, and it isn't allowing me to move totally on.
Well, I can understand your predicament, Sue, and I will try to help you move through that if you'd like. I would like to address first the animal situations. The animals were very much a grounding cord for you. They helped give you love and security and fun and happiness. They filled a great void, didn't they?
Yes.
Yes, and so to give up that grieving, you're still hanging on to what they supplied for you. And actually, we're talking about grace this afternoon will help to understand some of that. Grief is a wonderful emotion, actually, because, and I'm glad you're recognizing it, so many people don't want to grieve. It's like, if I don't think about it, if I don't feel poorly about that situation, then I'll just be fine, and I'm just going to ignore that I have feelings about it. And I'm so pleased to say that you're still grieving, and that is actually a sign of healthiness, that you're actually moving out of your denial about that, but seeing that it really was a loss to you. And that loss was a loss in third dimension. And that security and comfort that it brought you from your animals was a great part of your life, and where you are living on your own, and that was filling a great, great part of who you were and how you handled your life. And you really did all the right things, Sue. It's your guilt has come in to say, well, if I had done this differently, if I had been a little better person, if I had shown them a different way of working with them and being around them, they would still be here. They would still have had a better life or a longer life. And actually, there was nothing you could do to change their passing. You did exactly what you were supposed to do, what was written in your script. You did it just the way it was meant to be. And the trick is to realize that when you release that grief, when you're finally ready to say, I choose to release it so I have more space for more of God's Spirit in my life. I am making space for more of God's energy and love for my life. Then you see you can replace it with something very positive and very secure and use God's grace, which we'll be talking more about, but using God's love to replace your animal love. And in redoing that, you will actually find relief. You will actually find happiness in saying, I have just found a new way to find love in my life, which comes from inside rather than externally around me. So I am finding love within. And so that is what this afternoon's talk is about, is to change from that outward focus into an inward knowing. And that's not an easy thing to do. So I can understand your concern. You see, most people don't realize that they think the biggest fears are death, and the biggest fears are maybe talking in front of an audience. Those are claimed to be very large fears in people's lives. I believe the biggest fear is letting all of God in. What would my life be like if I move into total love of unconditional love of God? What will my life be like because I'm not hanging on to a material third-dimensional animal to be there? I won't have something to physically grasp. It will be invisible. How do I hold on to the invisible, which is truly what I want anyway, which is my eternal and everlasting energy of who I am? But to change from the tangible to the invisible takes a huge leap of faith. And it sounds like you're preparing yourself to take that leap of faith and saying, I so choose to release the grief and move on into the love and grace of God. And that I will, in doing that, the energies of love will never leave between you and your animals. They'll always be there in your heart. But the physical connection, or you might say strings attached that you want to hold on to, will dissipate when you move into the total love of God. And you will have a wonderful, beautiful feeling about your animals. It's not like you've had a huge loss. You will come into feeling how much they benefited you and how you can appreciate that they were in your life, and the joy and the fun and the playfulness, and you can recreate your wonderful memories. And that's what you focus on. It's not the loss. When you move into God's replacing that void with His love, then you can really enjoy that you had those animals for that wonderful length of time, and what a wonderful experience it was, and what you grew from, how that helped you grow and be a better person, how you became loving and sharing to them. It was a wonderful way to experience how you love and share with other people. And I heard you, I was here before we started this, so I heard you talking about your family. And yes, it's not always easy to be around some people, but when you see that there was a lot of good things that came from it, then the bad or the losses or the negativity is no longer your uppermost thoughts. You change to focusing the good of what happened, the experiences that were helpful and beneficial, and what you benefited, and became maybe a little more growing in your life because of it. So you see, if you could look at it from where was the good in that situation, it's easier to let go of the grief and realize that it was all in God's timing. It was all the way it was meant to be. And again, it would be joyously accept that that was a wonderful time in your life, and you have more wonderful times coming, and that one seems to have moved on, and it's time and space for new opportunities to replace that, which in this case would be more and more of God's love filling your life. So it can be looked at from a very productive point of view to move on into seeing, oh, I have more adventures ahead of me, and I wonder what's next on my doorstep. And in regards to your mother, that's a tough one. And I can understand why grieving your mother's loss is difficult. There is a special bond between a mother and a daughter. When the daughter is first born and the mother's heart is so open to loving that child unconditionally when she is first born, life happens after that, but there is a wonderful, wonderful, loving initial connection to the two of you. And that bond seems to hold you together in many ways, even if it's a difficult path that you've chosen, and it's not always the most agreeable between you and your mother as life changes. But that attachment at that core seems to be inevitable and seems to be forever, and it is. You see, you come to Earth with soul groups, and your mother was part of your soul group, and she agreed to birth you, and you agreed that you picked her because she had the energy that you were wanting to release into unconditional love, compassion, forgiveness. And so you could move into a loving experience rather than stay in the energy that she modeled for you. You have been growing out of it. But there's still that little tinge of hanging on to that energy of a mother, because a mother represents nurturing and protection, loving care. Even if you didn't get it, it represents that, and you will long for that. But to realize that today you are an adult who can give yourself loving care, who has created a secure basis for your life. You have taken care of your life in such a way you have not put yourself in danger and harm, so you do not have to live in jeopardy or fear of being in a difficult situation that you might have not the ability to handle. You have taken a good care of yourself in many, many ways. You are in a safe environment. You have walked away from things that are not safe and wise for you to be around. And as you mentioned, when you visited your family, there were times when you had to move back out of that. That was smart. You were protecting yourself from things that were not in your best interest. You do not have to put yourself in places to be hurt. So that energy and a connection to your mother was very viable and very necessary when you were young. And this is part of what we'll be talking about in the future, a little later today too, is that it's time for you to say, I know that my mother is with me and always has been, and we are in a soul group together learning from each other, that she came to help me grow into the person I have become today, and to maybe thank her for her role, that even though there were times that were difficult, that's maybe when you grew the most. Believe it or not, you probably had to raise up and say, I'm going to take a higher road in this situation. I'm not going to play the game any longer. And that's not easy to do, but you have done it very wisely and very well in many parts of your life. And as you do that, as you start to see that your mother played a very important role for you, and you actually asked her to play those roles to help you grow to be the wonderful person you are today, the spiritual being that you are growing into in a very large way, she actually did what you asked her to do, and it's finally time to say, thank you. You did such a good job. I bought into it hook, line, and sinker. But now I am a mature woman, and I can take care of those things that I looked to you for. I can supply love in my life. And you do that through your animals. I can find security through looking within to the God that keeps me healthy and secure. You can find it all within yourself, not from other people, which is really what our talk is about this afternoon. So you are at that stage where you are moving into a marvelous place where you're outgrowing your humanhood into your Christship. And that takes, again, a big leap of faith to leave behind the third dimensional world and know that you are taken care of in the arms of God. You are loved unconditionally, and all your needs will be met. And a mother's love is always there to support you and will stay in spirit to support you. But the physical being no longer is necessary. You are mature enough today to say, I loved you very much. It went the way it was supposed to, and I am happy that you played that part. I forgive you for all the old unnecessary difficulties, because those were actually what I needed for my growth, and thank you for that. So I love you, I forgive you, and thank you. And you just are now ready to move on, leave the loss behind, knowing that you are a better person for how it handled, it worked out. It came out the way it was meant to. And she'll always be in your heart in a loving way, not the old, some of the difficult ways that your memories of that will fade again, like with the animals, and you will remember the joyous times, the good things that she helped you with, the times that you maybe laughed together or went someplace that was special together, times that happened that were joyous, that you could do and be yourself at times when it was maybe difficult. At other times, those will fade. So look for the goodness of all of that happened, knowing that you have moved and are ready to move out of that old place, because the past is over. As I channeled at Christmas, when Jesus channeled, I should say, through Marilyn, it was the channeling I meant to say, that the planet has moved into a higher consciousness of unconditional love, and it is time to leave the losses behind and to say, I am ready to move forward on my adventure into a more spiritual being. So you are at that threshold. You are aligning your energy up with the earth so that you will be in a ready spot to walk into the new age, the golden age, some people call it. And so you are ready to make those decisions and say, yes, they served me well in the past, but I am moving into a new consciousness, a higher consciousness, and I'm moving forward into an adventure, and I wonder what God has in store for me now. It should be wonderful and marvelous. So is that helpful to understand, Sue?
Yes, it's very good.
I hope that you can find some peace in that.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're so welcome. This is a good question for many people that will be viewing this tape today, because many losses are going on in everybody's life as they're moving forward. So you wrote or asked actually a question that was very universal, not just for yourself, but many people are having the same experience of leaving behind the losses of people that were very close and loved, but needing to move on and release that. So thank you for your question. Do we have any other questions today?
Not right now.
Mac, did you come with any questions today?
I had one, but I don't think it would be of much interest to people watching the video.
Well, you see, everybody is working and living and growing in energy, and if you choose to share it, that is up to you, but we all learn from each other's trials and growth and understanding, and sometimes you'd be surprised what you're feeling is maybe what somebody else is feeling too.
All right. It's not unusual when I do my morning healing, remote healing sessions, to see these faces, usually one face, sometimes there might be several, as I enter into the quiet. I see these faces, and I just wonder why they're there. I've never tried to talk to them. And I've often wondered if these are people that have, on the spiritual side, that have come for healing.
I believe you're right about that, Mac. I believe other people are seeing faces in their meditations and their quiet times too. And like attracts like, and your bright light is attracting people in spirit, and they know what a fine healer you are. And they are there hoping that you will connect with them. and that you will talk with them, and they are willing to share whatever information that could be helpful so they could maybe do better in their spiritual growth, whatever that might be. Just recently, Marilyn had to release an attached entity that needed to be sent to the other side, cleaned up from the darkness that was attached to her, and sent it over. I think more and more people are having this experience, Mac. I think it's a good idea that you express it and open that up, because as people become more spiritual, that awareness is more in their consciousness as it used to be. The level and height of seeing the invisible is going to be much more dramatic and much more powerful. It's going to be much more obvious. It was very subtle, but the energies are so much stronger that those faces are more easily recognizable and seen. And yes, talking with spirit from the other side is not a scary thing. You have done it before. And it's just people searching you out and seeking you out. You are attracting them, and they are seeing your bright light. You are a beacon, Mac. So this would not be unusual that people who have done a lot of spiritual growth in their life becomes a beacon to others looking for light in their life in whatever way is necessary for their spiritual growth. And you are a way shower. You're showing people you can do it, and they're finding you. So to thank them for coming, ask what you might do to be of help. You see, when we came to Earth, it was to be of service to others. And in that case, that's what you would be doing. You would be actually fulfilling your purpose. So, and it's not being service to others and joining another club or group as much as spiritually helping those around you in the consciousness of a God consciousness, not necessarily a worldly consciousness. So you see, what you're doing is of a very high quality. I applaud you that you're aware. I encourage you to proceed and to search out more of why they are there and how you can be of help, and offer your assistance if you can, and how you see with God all things are possible. So if you have a nice little talk about what their problem and concern is, just know that God is working through you to meet their needs.
Thank you, John.
You're so welcome. In the meantime, Noel, have you come up with a question that you have?
Well, I wanted to know if there'd be a chance after the talk. Maybe a question will come up. I'm not sure.
Well, you are definitely welcome to ask a question at any time. We usually have an opening like today where people can bring their questions, but you're always welcome to ask questions. So do not be reserved or quiet about that.
I will.
Thank you for mentioning that. Do we have any questions about my message today?
Just one.
Very good.
It speaks to me on so many levels. What I'm struggling with is what's on the news, specifically ISIS.
Mm-hmm.
How do I pray, and what do I pray for?
Very good question. You pray for them to have everything you want. That's what you want to send out in the world. So if you want prosperity, if you want abundance, you want well-being, you want health, you want energy, stamina, guidance, whatever you are choosing in your life, you might find several things that are very much in what you are looking for in your life at this point. If it's security or whatever, prosperity, pray that for your enemy. Do it on a daily basis for the next month. Pray for them what you want for yourself. Send out that love to them. They are crying out for love too, as I said from the Course in Miracles. They are trying to find and fill the hole inside that is missing. And that hole needs to be filled with God. Not what's outside, not the greed and the power and the lust that they're demonstrating. That will not really fill their needs. Only the love of God. So as we send love to our enemies, we are really bringing it out into the experience of others, and it will return to us. There is a long history behind ISIS. Some of you might know who's funding them. Some of you might know that this is all one big game. But it's also necessary. And this is a marvelous experience for everybody. That it doesn't matter how desperate the situation is, that just means they're more desperate for love, or how something of smaller magnitude. We're all one in love, and as we share it and spread it around, you might say it's like putting manure in the garden, it grows better. So you send out love, knowing you are adding to the truth of this world and the power that is the true power. And you will discover as you send out love, it will dissipate the fear, the darkness, and the misery that is going on involved with that. The other side of the story is because the planet has received so much love and energy from exterior sources to bring the planet up into this higher energy of, for the first time in thousands of years, receiving this higher energy, and we're able to come out of the darkness. This is the end, you might say, the end times, the end of the evil. Evil is a lack of love. Evil is a lack of light. So as you send light to them, you're eliminating the evil. Does that make sense? All right.
Good.
So if that is a helpful answer,
Yes.
I hope it is.
Thank you.
You see, so many people feel threatened by it, but as you have become Christ consciousness, there's nothing to fear. There is no fear. It is not even a possibility. All there is God's love. That's the one law, and the oneness of God is love. There is nothing else. So as you spread that around, you are creating the truth of who everyone is, but who you are especially, that we're all children of God, all here to learn to love one another and to treat each other like you want to be treated. So that's how you treat ISIS. That's the golden rule.
Okay. Thank you.
You are so welcome. What a wonderful question. Any other concerns before we leave today?
Nope.
All right. Well, I would like to tell you what a wonderful afternoon this has been. I've been so glad to be here to share this message today. I hope I answered your questions so that they were helpful to you, so that you can move on into the grace of God, which is your birthright. Enjoy your life. Open up a new door. Turn the page of your book. You are in a new chapter. And just enjoy yourself. That's what you came to do, is to live in joy and in gratitude and in the presence of God. I bid you good afternoon.